Blog Talk Radio.
Basically.
What the hell is that?
I'm sorry. Well.
Welcome to the Will and Thunder Show. Will and Thunder Show. Well, welcome into the Will and Thunder Show. It's Tuesday night, and we've got a great show ahead of us tonight. We have a special guest on tonight, but before we get to that, I just want to say a little hello out there to William and Chris. How are we doing tonight, guys?
I'm great. I just want to let everybody know that we just give a little bit of background about our show, what it is, so they're not surprised about what's going to happen over the next 45 minutes to an hour. See, we're actually like a heavy metal comedy show, but we have had guests on that did not fit that mold, and this is one of those nights. And we're honored, with our guest tonight. And I mean, we've never had a New York Times bestseller on. That's freaking awesome. So we just want to let everybody know, all the new listeners that are in the chat room and everything. We're gonna have fun for the first 45 minutes to an hour, goof off like we normally do. And then we're gonna get serious and give our guest all the respect that she deserves, because we're excited to have her and we're honored.
Absolutely, yeah. This is kind of a big thing for us right here, New York bestseller. We've had a couple authors on our show before, and one definitely should be on the New York bestseller, and one day will be, absolutely. But this is going to be awesome, and yes, we're going to have a lot of fun this first 45 minutes to an hour. Just going to get down, have a little fun, do a little goofing off, and then after that, we're going to get serious. And I can't wait to get to pick the brain of somebody who has that much genius. So it's going to be fun.
We're going to have fun the whole time, and I take my goofing off very seriously. So.
So do I,
Goofing off is an art form.
That's absolutely right. Actually, we do very well at the goofing off part as well. So, anyway, how's things going, Chris? How are you making it today?
I'm here. I made it. I'm in one piece. Yeah, we're going to do this. So, all right, Will, so you have... I noticed that you mentioned before the show that you have a proposal or something new that you wanted to add to the show or suggest or put out there. So what is going on, man? I need to know. I'm dying of suspense.
Okay, well, cue the news music. Cue the news music.
All right, say that 5 times fast.
Cue the news music. There we go.
Got it.
All right, getting right off with the news, and I'm launching an official campaign right now, right here on the Will and Thunder Show, and it's time that that heavy metal music, our baby, get the respect that it deserves. And I came to this realization after seeing the latest Super Bowl halftime show with Katy Perry on it. Now, whatever, she's got a good singing voice and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it got
Well,
me
we should
thinking,
probably mention real quick to our audience that we also love football, so we talk a lot of football on the show. So
Yes, we do. A lot of football and a lot of music.
So we have Katy Perry. She's doing the halftime show, and I got to admit that walking tiger thing that she had was really cool. But to me, I'd rather see a big walking Eddie. Eddie, of course, being the mascot from Iron Maiden. So I am putting together. There's a Facebook page, and the title is "Put Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, or Metallica into the Super Bowl halftime show." And why those three bands? Why those three bands? You might not like Iron Maiden, but you might like Metallica or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Those three are the most influential, iconic metal bands out there. They have sold millions upon millions upon millions of records, so they do fit. They definitely fit the criteria that the NFL has laid out for one of their Super Bowl halftime guests. So I figure if we can get 1 million plus people to like this Facebook page, then maybe we can make some noise with the NFL, and maybe Metallica gets on first. But if Metallica's on, I mean, we're getting heavy metal into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now, finally. So why not?
I'm going with Iron Maiden because I'm going to vote Iron Maiden because I want to see Bruce Dickinson land Ed Force One in the middle of the football field.
Well,
otherwise, it's a no-go for me.
That's a 747 jet, and as big as the stadiums are, none of them's big enough to land that kind of a aircraft.
Well, then you sacrifice a few people for the love of the metal. And it does, what can I say? I mean, I'll volunteer.
Bring your daughter to the slaughter.
That's so metal.
Instead of taking people out, instead of ruining lives and all that, there's a simple solution to that. There's a thing called Air Force 2. It's a helicopter that can land perfectly in the stadium. Nobody has to lose a life.
Ed Force.
That was better than my plan of putting all the death row people and convicted criminals, and that was my plan. Just put them all in the general area where it might land.
But still, there's not enough area to land. They require about 3 miles worth of landing just to get one of those things. I mean, if you try to come in too slow, I mean, it's not a Harrier. It can't hover.
That's why I said use the helicopter.
Can't you let me have my dreams? Why? You crush my dreams.
My God.
And on a lighter note, no, for real. No, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and yes, it would be nice to have a good hard metal band, that puts on a show for once.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. One of the people in the chat room suggested that we get Ann Rice on the show, and I would totally be all about that.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that person in the chat room named Justin by any chance? Not Scary Justin. He'll be in a few minutes, but.
Yeah, it is Justin.
Hi, Justin. I knew it was you. You can't hide from me.
Wow, Justin, you're famous.
Justin is one of my esteemed fellow writers at SonicCathedral.com.
Very, very cool. Well, welcome in. And yes, there's a ching for Sonic Cathedral. One more time. There we go. That's right.
That's how we roll. Roll Thunder Show.
That's how we roll. That's right. There's nothing wrong with a selfless plug once in a while.
Well, speaking of selfless plugs, I also wrote a blog spot on my blog, which is williamtelltale.blogspot.com, and explaining in great detail and entertaining detail too about my campaign about landing Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, or Metallica into the Super Bowl halftime show. I mean, when you read it, it will all be so abundantly clear. And I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to sit here and read to you. I'm not one of those.
All right, okay. Do me a favor. Will, slow down just a minute right there, because we have an hour and a half at least left of the show, and I would not want you to dislocate one shoulder, patting yourself on the back right there. Slow down a little bit.
Well, that was my other question. If you manage to have this dream realized and 1 million people like this Facebook page, and somehow it happens, do you get to pick the set list of whoever wins the Because my rule would be if Metallica is performing the Super Bowl, they're under no circumstances whatsoever allowed to play anything but stuff from the first 4 albums. That's it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like,
I mean,
Ride the Lightning or nothing.
They'd have to play Inner Sandman. I mean, you know that.
No.
Exactly.
We've heard enough of it.
That's played at every football field as it is right now. That and Welcome to the Jungle. I mean, that's a given. But I mean, there's just certain things. I mean, you cannot. If they came out there and played anything off that horrific album, that they put out.
Speaking of trash can, things that sound like they're in a trash can, obscene anger. You sound like you're in the trash can.
I
might need to grab a different phone then. Hold on 1 second here. You guys, is it still bad?
No, you're doing good now.
I was at a football game one time with it was in Atlanta, and Carolina just came in and just stomped a mud hole, and it was a blowout of epic proportions. And and they played toward the end of that game they played that the first clip of that Nickelback song, How the Hell We Wind Up Like This? Why weren't we able to see the signs that we missed or whatever? I thought that was hilarious. But then right after that, they played a little clip of Sad But True.
Nice.
Sorry, when you said Nickelback, I'm like, what?
Well, it was used properly. It was used properly.
Right.
It's like the home stadium was kind of ragging on the home team by playing that line from the song. Then they finished it off by playing a little clip from Sad But True. I mean,
I've heard them do For Whom the Bell Tolls at football games, so they could totally do something from the first 4 albums. You could do it, Metallica. We're all tired of Enter Sandman. We are all tired of Sad But True. We are all tired of Nothing Else Matters and all this.
You can't play Nothing Else Matters at a football game. It's not,
No, but we're
impossible.
tired of all that stuff from the Black Album onward. Like, okay, I'm just done with it. Most Metallica fans are over it. We're just like, forget it. Just we want to hear Whiplash and Jump in the Fire.
You're not thinking outside of the box, Chris. You're not thinking outside of the box here. If Metallica, and honestly, to be quite honest with you, out of those 3, the one that's most likely to be first would be Metallica. But
that's the thing. Jump in the Fire with a lot of pyro at Super Bowl halftime isn't thinking outside the box. Come on. Okay, I rest my case.
But you got to get one in first. Once one, and Kiss getting in doesn't count because I mean
no.
Rock, we're talking metal. So
right.
So we get Metallica in the door, and they make everybody happy. They'll probably play like a medley of songs since all their songs are like 5-10 minutes long and everything. So they'll play a little medley of songs and everything, and then they'll probably play Inner Sandman in its entirety or something like that. I mean that. But then guess what? The door's open. Once
then
Metallica
they can do So What uncensored.
Yep.
I'm going with that. That's my pick right there. So What, uncensored. If you've ever heard that song, it's like one of the, it could never be played on the radio because it would be just a series of beeps with maybe a guitar solo.
Right. Anthrax would be great for, a halftime.
Yeah.
There's so many bands that would be great.
Anthrax,
how these players, how hyped up they get when they score and everything, or they make a big play. Can you imagine a halftime show with the Jumbotrons just showing these great plays from the Super Bowl with I Am the Man in the background?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be insane.
Anyway, Chris, are you watching the phone screen? Do you know what number our guest is calling?
I just saw like a flash, and I don't even know. I thought it was Justin for a minute. Scary Justin.
No, Scary Justin's already here.
Yeah, there he is. I see him there. Hi. We'll get to you in a minute.
This is a different number.
Yeah, I didn't see it. It was just like real quick.
Okay. Well, maybe you
that
should
was Diana. You call back in 45 minutes.
Maybe you should call in. Like send a message asking what area code they're calling from, because that way we can know who it. Be on the lookout.
Be ready to roll when the number's in there. Absolutely.
Yeah, because people can also call in and listen to the show via their phone, and if we've got like 20 or 30 calls in of people listening, we might have a hard time figuring out who's who.
Yeah, I'm trying to let me look up, because I know she's calling from Arizona, so let me look up Arizona area codes just to make sure I have the right idea. But Well, she knows to call in at 8 o'clock her time, so I'm pretty sure it wasn't her. I'm almost positive.
Okay. Anyway, that's...
But see, Zoe has an Arizona area code. Maybe she's calling us. Where did everyone go?
It was the aliens. So anyway, now that we've got this new thing happening here, everybody, you gotta get behind us here and let's do what we can to make next year's Super Bowl halftime show.
It'll probably take a couple years, but still.
Well, let's get started this year and let's see, how far we can get. You never know. Well, and you're probably right because next year's show is probably already, inked in and they're already working on, how about
I don't think the next 2 years are in the bag, don't you? I mean, as long as
it probably is that way.
But then again, on the other hand, you also want to get who's new and current and hot. So I imagine that they keep it pretty loose as far as that goes. Because you never know who's going to rise up from obscurity in the next year or so, and that you want to get on the Super Bowl right then and there. So I don't know.
Well, and that's the other thing, man. It would be great to have some of these, acts that we've been talking about, but also, the reason we do our show, a lot of these bands that we've talked to that are, coming up and, starting to, get on the, Billboard charts, thanks to the magic of our show, and, other bands like that, might be a good idea. It'd be nice to maybe have some, like a collaboration of up-and-coming bands, something new and fresh, not your everyday pop artist or not your, everyday rock star, just something fresh and new.
You got to pay your dues.
Well, we are a magical show. You never know if one of the bands next year at the Super Bowl will be one of the bands that we discovered out there in the local club scene, making it. You never know. I mean, I would go with a Sound of Thunder or Aries for the Super Bowl. That would be pretty awesome.
Queensryche featuring Gabby.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah,
I'm just
popularity-wise, you know what?
I know.
Let's get the next album with Todd. Let's see where that goes. I'm all for Queensryche playing anywhere, anytime. I'm
Will and Thunder Show
totally
brought
down
to you
with
by
that.
Professor Slaughter of Current and Turpin. Side effects may include itchy, watery eyes, low retail on their home, and painful erections. Guaranteed.
Hands down. That's who needs to play the Super Bowl next year.
Oh, my God.
Down.
Oh, my God.
You think people are willing to pay $3-4 million for 30-second spot for a commercial? You want some entertainment? Craig and Belden as the Super Bowl halftime show. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, that's entertainment. I don't know. Look.
For our new listeners out there, Kronk and Belden are by far, hands down, the craziest guests we've ever had on our show. They're always so entertaining. They make us laugh. They're just hilarious. We love them. Kronk and Belden for the Super Bowl. I'm going for that.
That's what I'm saying right there. Look,
it's the Zamboni or whatever, the Zambuki or
the accordion. Can you imagine? Okay, now look. Katy Perry came out on a giant lion little thing right there. Can you imagine? All right, now take like a Oriental parade where they have the giant lion thing that runs around with all the people.
It's called Asian.
Asian.
The 21st century.
No, exactly. No, that's Chinese. It's not Japanese. The Chinese parades have.
Yeah, but nobody says Oriental anymore.
Anyway. Asian, Oriental, Chinese, I apologize.
Man,
but anyway, can you imagine a giant accordion like that? With all the people running around with the accordion jumping around and Craig and Belden play? It'd be insanely awesome.
That would be.
Yeah.
Now I've got. Let's get away from the Super Bowl. I just gotta say, once again, Facebook. The name of the page is put Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, or Metallica into the Super Bowl halftime show. That's the name of it. Find it, join it, share it. Let's
we'll
get
put
this
it up
thing.
on our Facebook, the Will and Thunder Facebook page.
But in
we're all about the shameless self-promotion.
Steel Panther's been pretty. Steel Panther, of course, is the glam band that just doesn't care. I mean, they're like a parody, but they've been pretty vocal today, and I didn't really have any
today
stories.
as opposed to every other day of the year.
Today. First off, they come out and they say that they've challenged their singer has challenged Anthony Kiedis of the Red Hot Chili Peppers to a sing-off, and Chris Jericho challenged Chris Jericho to a wrestle-off.
Oh no! I want to see this. Okay, Vince McMahon, you need to make this happen at WrestleMania. This needs to happen now.
Yeah.
Right this minute. I will put down $50 to watch that pay-per-view.
I would too. Just for that.
Now, first of all here, now, to put any merit to somebody doing a call-out to somebody, now, I am a huge Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. I love the band. I think Flea is an awesome bass player. I love their style. But first and foremost, and Anthony Kiedis himself will tell you he is not a singer. He is the front man and vocalist and more of a rapper. And he got kind of pulled into the band by his buddies to be the singer. He is not a great vocalist by any means. Well, no, the thing is, so if you're going to do a sing-off with somebody, I guess, I mean, set yourself in the middle of the road right there, and that way, maybe you can beat somebody. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's not like
Jericho. I don't know if challenging Chris Jericho to a wrestle-off was a good idea.
Yeah, well,
the man does know his skill. If wrestling fake or whatever, but there is some physical aptitude required to pull off some of those moves. So, he kind of knows what he's doing.
And I have a question. How do you put those two together? Hey, listen here, guys. I got something to say right now.
Because Chris Jericho has his own metal band.
Yeah. You didn't know that?
I don't know. You didn't know that?
Yeah, I don't know, though, but the whole wrestling thing.
He's actually what he should have done.
Wait, you mean to tell me you didn't know that Chris Jericho had his own metal band?
No, I'm not.
What he should have done is challenged Chris Jericho to both a sing-off and a wrestle-off.
There you go. That made more sense.
Right.
Right. Why Anthony Kiedis? I just don't know where the rivalry comes in. Is it because they're both LA bands? I don't see the. And we all know, at least that we know of, Flea is the only bass player that has not been shot by Jerry Lee Lewis. So.
I think Jerry Lee Lewis is scared of Flea. He'd shoot Flea one time, and Flea would be like, "Is that it? You didn't bring a bigger gun, you son of a." He just.
Yeah, we have to use our nice voices. Let's use our nice voices.
I did. Look, I censored myself. I stopped.
But another thing they came out with is today is the same guy, the singer. He came out and said that Van Halen, they're doing that reunion tour, and he makes a very good point. He says that it's not a reunion tour unless Michael Anthony's there.
Exactly. Oh, well, you don't want to get me started on that. That's a whole other tangent reserved for another day of the week.
Oh, yeah. We've been through that before. We know you're and I agree with you. It's not, you can't call it a reunion if you have different members in there.
Right.
You can call it a new album, a new tour, but it's not a reunion. Unless Michael Anthony is dead, I don't know. Jerry Lee Lewis could be gunning for Michael Anthony.
I don't know. Michael Anthony is a good singer as well as a bass player, so he might get a pass or something. I don't know. But I don't know. Michael Anthony is probably so loaded on Jack Daniels at this point that.
And I was just going to make that point that, he's got one of the coolest basses of all times. You had Gene Simmons with the Axe bottle, and then you had Axe guitar. Then Michael had the Jack Daniels bass.
Well, also hanging out with Sammy Hagar all these years, he's also become more 180 proof, dude, all the tequila and rum.
That's right.
So it's just like, I don't think Jerry Lee, I don't think he could shoot Michael Anthony because he would explode and then therefore kill Jerry Lee in the process, and that would kind of be self-defeating, wouldn't it?
That's Jerry's defense right there. He's like, I wasn't shooting him, I was just trying to tap him.
He was playing with a pick, no?
Okay, well let's get off of the.
We got to get to Scary Justin because
for
everyone in our chat room.
Let's do 5 words. We got to
bring in Justin to do the 5 words because he has 5 words.
Oh. Okay.
So this is our segment.
He might have more than 5 words. Let's not put people in a box. He might have more than 5 words.
Okay,
Right.
well, Will needs to explain the 5 words segment real quick to our new listeners out there. So,
Okay.
Will, what is 5 words?
There's a Twitter Twitter thing where 5 words to ruin a date, 5 words to ruin a job interview. Well, like we kind of took that and ran with it, and every week we try to do 5 words for this situation or that situation. And this particular week we have 5 words never to say to your mother-in-law.
Awesome.
This is going to be fun.
Well, let's get Justin in here.
Let's bring Justin in real quick.
Hello.
Hello. How are you, Justin?
Well, actually, let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. It's 5 degrading things to say to your mother-in-law.
Okay.
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 So I guess you guys can go first, because I've only got one.
I've only got a couple, so Justin and Thunder can go first, because Justin's so good at this, he comes up with like 50 in within 2 minutes.
All right, Justin, you do one, then I'll do one.
All right, let's see. Are you into younger guys?
Wow.
All right. Your daughter must be adopted.
Oh. I've got one. Let me see here. I've got, should have married her best friend.
Okay, you guys want to hear one?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You look really nice today.
That's not very degrading.
Well, if you say it sarcastically. You look very pretty today.
No, it would be very degrading if I were to say it to my mother-in-law. It would be degrading to me.
Oh, I get it. I understand.
All right, you ready? Here we go. Here we go. You ready? Here's another one for you. Wow, what a nice mustache.
Oh.
You give somebody a compliment about their facial hair, and then you're the bad guy.
Oh, my goodness.
I got a couple.
All right, go ahead, Justin.
Do you like to party?
Because a lot of mother and I'm not gonna say a lot, but the 50 Shades of Grey crowd. I mean, they're kind of geekers and they're into partying.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah.
We're married, woman. Shut up. Oh, sorry.
Thunder, you say that to your mother-in-law at least once a week.
I got another one for you. Oh, your husband is a saint.
Oh, well, I got one for you, Will. Are you a Jets fan?
A what?
A Jets fan.
Oh.
Because come on, Will, you do that every week. You always have a Jets fan reference.
Well, I only had one this week, and that was something. I guess I kind of got it wrong because it was degrading, but it would have been degrading for me to say it. So I didn't really.
All right, I got one last one.
Okay,
this is my last one.
Hold on, Thunder. What?
All right, I'm holding on. What am I holding on to?
I don't want to know. Keep it over there. This isn't fit for mixed company. Well, where did Will go?
I don't know.
I'm here.
Are you still there?
Okay. Yeah, well, what have you got?
Okay, you told me to hold on. What am I holding on to? Go ahead.
Take a salt tablet.
Hey, Scary Justin, what's up?
Nah, much. How about you?
No, you ready to get your butt kicked again this week?
Are we ready to throw down?
I'm ready to sharpen my axe to get some blood.
Scary Justin has to redeem himself because last week the guys from Aries came on the show and just mopped the floor with Scary Justin.
I don't care if he's not a regular cast member. I don't care because of the fact that he has a whole week to write this stuff up, and then he just springs them on us. We have no idea what he's going to say, so therefore, advantage Justin. So
that's right. And you know what?
We could have three people. We could have 3 people on as guests on our side, and Justin could still win. So I mean, it's so we.
Well, this week we have an army of people because we've upped the ante this week, and for those of you who are sticking with us in the chat room, If you can manage to get any of the questions right that Scary Justin asks about horror movie trivia, then you will for sure get your question in to Diana tonight. So for those of you out there who are also horror movie trivia buffs, just sharpen your skills and put your thinking cap on and help us annihilate Scary Justin, because we've only gotten on the board twice, and I think one of them was half a point.
The score is 5-2.
Okay, look.
All right. Well, let's do the music and let's do this.
That's right.
Hello. I'd like to play a game with you. Scary Justin's Horror Movie Trivia on the Will and Thunder Show.
All right, Justin, you're going down.
Not without a fight, so I get some bloodshed.
All right, look. All right, this is a family show. We don't need to hear that. All right, let's just play a game, all right?
No, we're out for blood. This is horror movie trivia.
That's
we want
right.
Blood. We're zombies. We want brains.
I'm on a Bloody Mary.
Good luck on this show. You're going to star right here. Listen, zombie apocalypse, listen to this show. You guys will be safe as you can be. Go ahead.
Well, all right, go for it, Justin.
Alrighty. This one is probably easy. This one's about people trapped in a mall with zombies.
All right,
Ball
people
rat.
trapped in the room with the Is that it? Is that the right answer?
No.
All right, give people a chance in the chat room to answer that one. People trapped in the mall with zombies. I don't. Sounds like a typical day around here in the town where I live, but it doesn't have a
Man, have mercy.
Wait a minute.
Watch out for the mall walkers. The older people are wandering around doing. I see them at malls. Like, you have to walk around the mall.
On Golden Pond, I don't.
All right. People trapped in a mall with zombies.
Cocoon.
Justin says Night of the Living Dead.
You're on the right track. That's not the right answer, but you're on the right track.
Does anyone in the chat room have an
Return
idea?
of the Night of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead. So dead it would rip your face off. I don't know.
Return of the Living Dead.
No, they're in the right category.
Retirement Home of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead Part 2.
House of the Living Dead. I don't.
Old Navy of the Living Dead.
Abercrombie and Finch of the Living Dead.
Wow.
Abercrombie and the Living Dead.
Baby Gap.
That's awesome.
Baby Gap. That's horrible.
I don't. I didn't mean for that to happen.
Wow.
And then I realized
no, seriously. No, let's get serious here.
Does anyone in the chat room have anything?
No.
Oh. I'm calling a lifeline. Can I call Regis? He's a zombie, right? No?
Man, let me see here. Zombies in a mall. I mean,
Zombieland? I don't know.
That was
8 a.m.? That's when all the old people are there walking the mall.
Is this one of your Italian movies?
Hover around.
That's right.
Hover rounds of the Living Dead.
Come on, Martha. Let's go get some zombies.
Metamucil of the Living Dead. Geritol of the Living Dead.
Ooh, I might direct that one.
Oh my God, Depends of the Living Dead. That's what I'm going.
Ooh.
And Chris, don't do that again. You just showed a little bit of age right there saying Geritol. Nobody knows what that is anymore.
Don't make fun until you try
Well,
it.
that shows how old I am. See, I'm making fun of my own age.
That's right. You took your Geritol today. Mine's working
I
right.
did. That's why I'm in a good mood.
I popped Geritol like candy. It's yummy.
I can't believe... Yeah, there's so many freaking zombie movies.
I know, that's the one thing right there.
Okay.
What is the...
Yeah, we got to play a song
funny...
before the guest shows up. So what is the answer? Because it doesn't seem like anybody has it, and we'll never get it.
Yeah, you guys are on the right track. It's Dawn of the Dead.
Oh. Is that the one where Disturbed played the song in the beginning of it?
Isn't that a song by Corrosion?
Isn't
that a song by Corrosion of Conformity? No, wait, that's...
No. Dawn of the Dead. The movie you're talking about, they remade it, did they recently? They remade it, and they used like the Lounge Lizard versions of Disturbed Down with a Sickness in the beginning of the movie.
See, that's what it is, Justin. If it's got a Disturbed reference, you need to hint that so me and Thunder can figure it out.
I know what movie he's talking about right there. And man.
All right, well, we got
came
1
out
point for Justin.
We got to get the next two right.
Yeah, come on, guys. We got this.
All right, what's your next question?
All right, this one's about a thriller that a photographer, she's able to see murders while they occur.
Oh, God, I've seen this. I've seen it.
And she's a photographer.
Shutter.
No.
Damn it.
Flash forward. I know
it's from the 70s, 1978, I believe.
1 hour photo.
Nope.
That was freaky though. Watching that funny guy Robin Williams turn into a psycho. Yeah, that was great.
Kodak.
I've seen that once. I got to see that again.
Let's see here. Shutter was a great answer, by the way.
Yeah, that was a good one, Will.
Well, there is a movie along that. It might even be a remake for all I know, but it was a really good movie.
No, this one's 78. I don't think they remade it. I hope they don't. They probably will.
The Camera Eye, anytime I can get a Rush reference in is a good day.
Freeze Frame.
Aperture.
This is right up your alley, Will.
Rear Window. I don't know.
I'm just guessing photography terms.
Yeah, I know. That'd be my biggest.
Does anyone in the chat room know? Anybody? Come on, this is for a question. Somebody's got to know.
Something to do with the lens.
And the guy who played Tucky's in there, too. Brad Dourif's in there. Oh, this is before Child's Play, though.
You said Fred Durst was in there? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that is a horror movie. Wait, didn't he make it?
Man, you kill us here.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't we get an easy question like, what does Freddy wear on his gloves? I mean, we would know that one. What kind of mask does Jason wear?
I've got the brains. Oh my goodness, no clue on my part here. I'm done like dinner.
And he said this.
Yeah, it doesn't look that like no one in the chat room's got anything or no one. Nothing.
Wow.
Anybody? Come on. All right, Justin, you have once again defeated us on another question. So what is the answer?
It's called The Eyes of Laura Mars.
How the hell am I? I just, and I just cursed when I said I wasn't supposed to, but how the heck am I supposed to know that?
Faye Dunaway played Laura Mars before Mommy Dearest did this.
Mommy Dearest was in it, and I didn't.
Yeah,
okay.
Faye Dunaway played it.
And by the way,
no wire hangers.
By the way, our guest is scheduled to join us in about just over 15 minutes. She'll be here hopefully, and we'll so we're.
Yeah, Justin's going to ask us one more question. So everyone in the chat room has one last chance to get a question right, so they can get their question to Diana in before and then after he's done, we're going to play a quick song to take a break and redeem ourselves, and then hopefully she will be here by then. So go for it, Justin. What is the final question that you were going to kick our butts on?
All right, this one might be easier. This is a remake. That was originally they did in Japan, and they renamed it and everything. But it's basically about you watch this VHS tape, and you have 7 days to live.
Oh, oh my God! I know this one. They just made a movie of it where you watch the DVD.
Is it The Ring?
Yes, it is.
Oh my God, we're on the board.
Do you know what the original title, the Japanese version is, though? Can Yeah, can you name the Japanese, the original one of that?
No.
I cannot right now. There's a couple movies that came out in that same time frame that were originally Japanese or Asian movies. That was one of them. The other one was the one with the girl who played Buffy the Vampire Slayer on a TV show. And both of those had Japanese names to them, and I cannot remember or cannot pronounce either one of them. But yes.
I'm going to guess Yoshi.
It's called Ringu. That's the original title. I'm guessing it was all in Japanese. I think I've seen it once. But yeah, it was in Japanese. They remade
we never would have guessed that. But we're taking our half point.
Yeah, the other one was, as I said, with I can't think of her name or actual name. The one that was Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the TV show. It shows her where she was washing her hair. Yeah, Sarah Michelle Gellar, where she's washing her hair and the hands come out. And she's washing her hair, and it's like, yes, I had a little. Now, those are the movies that really freak me out that have a little kid in them that is really scary and freaky. That had the little cat kid, you know, the oh yeah, I don't.
They come through the TV.
You mean like the Godsend? That's a really good one.
So I just got a question. Have you, Justin? Have you seen or read the Outlander books?
No, I have not.
Oh.
Have you watched the show at all?
No. Is it on cable? Is it on Starz?
Yeah, I know. Poor Justin right now. His rent situation is not allowing him to have good TV.
I've got basic TV, a converter box, and my antenna's on the fits too, so it's not bad.
Well, Justin, you kicked it, but it's now the score is now.
But see, but you're in luck. You're in luck because when Diana gets here, she'll tell us more about it. But the first half of season 1 is going to be released to DVD. I believe at the end of next month.
Yay!
So you will get your chance to watch it. Just take a.
I haven't read the books. I'll be honest with you and everything. But when the series first came out on Starz, I started watching it, and then I watched the pilot episode and started a new job like the following week, and I'm now working like 65 hours a week. So I didn't get a chance to finish it. However, thanks to Mother Nature and the snow, I've watched. I've been off work for the past days. I kind of went on a little marathon, and I watched. I rewatched the pilot episode, and then I watched most of the other ones. And I told Chris here just how far I had gotten, and she flipped. She's like, "Oh my God!" My wife said the same thing. I actually got my wife into the series, and she went on a marathon and watched them on demand last week, and she's now hooked, big time. She's already bought the first book and is already reading it, and when I told her,
yes, her books are very addicting that way.
The reaction was the same. I got to the end of the Garrison Commander episode, and their reaction, both Chris and my wife's reactions was like verbatim, word for word. You haven't gotten to the wedding episode yet? I'm like, well, no, I haven't. I haven't had time. I've tried.
I wish I had a sound bite of a whip cracking right about now.
Hey, Justin, real quick, back to
order.
Hey, real quick, back to Justin's segment real quick. Last week we were talking about the movie with the insects and everything, and I was trying to explain to you the movie I was talking about where the insects were, made the image of a person walking around. The name of the movie was Mimic.
Mimic.
And it's where the cockroaches. And the funny thing is, after we got off the phone that night, I went and laid down in bed and I was flipping through the channels, and it was on.
No way.
That night. And I was like, that is so weird right there. But yeah, so I just wanted to let you know right there that it didn't come to me by chance. It came to me by the grace of God right there. Put it on my TV what the name of the movie was.
The Metal Gods. It was the Metal Gods.
Exactly.
Did you ever see the sequel? They did like Mimic 2, I think. I don't know, maybe 3. I'm not sure.
I think they did do a Mimic 2, yeah. But you remember the scene at the scene at the end of the movie was the creature walking through the subway, and the overcoat fell off, and then the roaches went everywhere. And
Mira Sorvino.
So that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of when you were talking about that movie last week.
Nice.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the title, but yeah, I've seen that years ago. Yeah, I got to see that again.
Well, congratulations, Justin. You have once again defeated us, even though we did get on the board this week. So a big round of applause for Scary Justin.
Yay, more blood. More blood for me.
And as for us, we get a big old...
I dress myself.
That's
about as good as we do every week on Scary Movie Trivia. You'd think that one of us would start watching more scary movies, but...
Exactly.
We're busy.
I watch
we have
scary movies.
Outlander episodes to watch here, people. We have
That's
important
right.
things to do.
And here's a quick question. This is something we need to put out there because I have looked and looked and looked, and I have HBO Starz and all that, and I have not found the Outlander series when I'm looking through the TV. So maybe it's my timing, because I work nights. When I come home or in the daytime, I have not found it.
Well, actually, right now the show is experiencing something the fans call Droughtlander, which is the show is actually on hiatus until April the 4th, and it's been on hiatus since like September 28th, 29th, and I've never heard of a show being on hiatus on a season for 6-7 months. It's just been horrible. It's just like, I don't know. This is the worst.
That's why I cannot find it.
I really hope that the Starz Network realizes what a hit show they have on their hands now, because I kind of think they didn't really. I think they knew it was going to be a hit, but not the mega hit that it became, and that's why it took so long for everything. Because I know it takes a while to film these episodes and stuff, but if this is how long they're going to keep going in between episodes, I mean, it could kind of lose the attention of people who are not book fans or reading the show reading the books and watching just the show.
No,
so,
that's not true. That's not true because look at how long between seasons Game of Thrones goes, and that's like one of the top series out there right now.
Yeah, but look how it was how long did they start doing that though? Were they always like that from the beginning?
Yeah, it was like it's like 10 episodes long, and then you have the
6 months or whatever.
8 months, whatever. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's only 10. The season's only 10 weeks.
And the cable channels, or the pay cable channels especially, do that. I mean, Spartacus was, almost like that. A lot of the shows were like that. But, it does. This is a long hiatus for that. But, and this is huge because, the amount of books in this series, and to put that to television,
this show could
that's
literally
huge.
go on for 20 years, and it would not even begin to scratch the surface of what's written in these books. I mean, literally.
And that's one of my questions. That's one of my questions to her is, just how far can this go? And, it's amazing. I wish I had the talent to sit down and write down
the radio show?
What's in my imagination. To do it in the written word is so much different. Because you go back and you say, well, we do live on air. Yes, it is. It's entertaining, and there's a lot of imagination and everything that goes into what we do. But when we do it, it's done. There's no going back and editing.
Right.
What we
but
do.
also, I think the reason that fans are just so anxious is because these are books that have spanned over 25 years, and so there are fans out there who've literally been reading these books from the beginning and have dreamed of the series or dreamed of it being put to film in some way, shape, or form for years. So to finally see it realized and then, to watch it unfold and then boom, you got to put a cap on it for 8 months. It's just torment. It's kind of
Other thing that I noticed, I was looking over.
I'm going to break my own rules here for a minute. I'm going to say it's like, I guess I imagine it would be like what blue balls are for you guys. That's what it is for us. You got us hooked on this, and now you're going to take it away for 7 months, and we're dying. When is it coming back?
Now you understand, woman.
Every day is torment. It's just horrible. But on that note,
one thing that I really noticed, and I'm going to try to make a connection to our show a little bit closer, is I've looked at every title of every book, these books in the series. If she stopped writing books right now, she could start writing names for bands. If you look at some of these books.
Have you looked at some of the names of the chapters of some of the books? Because that is pretty amazing too. A lot of these chapters have a lot of metal names as well.
And that's all. It's like so if you're out there and you're a part of our show, most of the time, and you guys are a band, coming together, and you're like, oh yeah, we'd love to be on the show sometime, and we've got some music going, but we can't come up with a name. Go buy her books. If you can't get the name off the title of the book, go chapter to chapter. You're going to find something here. Listen to these real quick. How cool these are. Dragonfly and Amber.
I'm reading that right now. I'm rereading it.
Drums of Autumn.
Somebody in the chat room says that that I'm trying to scroll back up and find it, but said that there's an Outlander Anatomy on Facebook. Is a great way to survive the Droughtlander.
There you go.
Oh, well, I've been reading the books and watching the show. I mean, I'm doing all right, but, you know, it's still...
As a matter of fact, tomorrow...
39 days, everybody.
Tomorrow I'm going to go out tomorrow, and I'm going to buy the first book, since I cannot see the series right now. I know the series is coming out. We'll talk about that later. But I'm going to go buy the first book tomorrow, and I'm going to start reading it. And I will let you guys know next week how far I've gotten along in that book, and I'll probably be done with it.
What's your book club? We can have the Will and Thunder book club.
Actually, and everybody want to laugh and joke, but actually, that's one of the great things, and one thing that'll make you a great musician, or especially a lyricist, is to be well-versed in, a well-read person.
Well,
but,
yeah, look at bands like Iron Maiden. I mean, all of their lyrics are based on, you can tell they're very well-read. They read a lot of books, and a lot of their lyrical content comes from storytelling and just stuff like that. So, and since we have 5 minutes before our guest is going to get here, what I'm going to do is we're going to
Hold on 1 second. Before you do that, okay. I have to do one thing. You guys cut me off at 5 words, and I had the best one ever.
All right,
and then you can go play a song.
It.
You ready? It's the last one. You call this Thanksgiving? Why?
Oh, worst turkey ever. Moistness.
Anyway, I had to put that one in. I had to. But thank you. I'm done. You guys go ahead. Love you, Vina.
Rock it out. So, okay, we're going to play a song. It's not from the Outlander soundtrack, but we are going to...
Hold on a second, Chris. Let me interrupt you there for a second. Thunder, even our guests in the chat room are roasting you right now. They're like, what? He has no idea what Outlander's about? so yeah, you're getting it from the chat.
I have tried to convert these guys. Will's been getting there, but, Thunder...
And I understand it. No, and I don't. And the one good thing is, and we do this on this show, is we like to bring people in that some of us don't know, that some of us are very well versed in when we do our music live. And no, I don't know anything about this right now, and I'm super interested. Now, I've done my study, and I've looked into it. And no, I really don't know that much about it, but I am very interested. And yeah, you guys could roast me. I appreciate it. Bring it on in.
Well, let's call it educating. We're going to educate Thunder on this.
That's right.
Why don't our folks in the chat educate Thunder a little bit more about Outlander? We're going to play a tune. It's not from the Outlander soundtrack, but it was given to us by a good friend of the show now. We're hoping to get him on in the near future, but he is the ex-singer of a progressive rock band called Marillion, and his name is Fish, and he is from Scotland. He is pretty much the guy who introduced me to this culture and this life, and where I learned to pronounce the word Slanchama, and he gave us permission to use this song, which is very Scottish and a tribute to his homeland. So I hope you all enjoy it as much as I do. And I hope eventually, because he is also an actor, that he will end up on the Outlander show someday doing something. So this is a song called Caledonia, an ode to Scotland. It is by a guy named Fish with an F, damn it. And let's rock it out and listen to it on the Will and Thunder show.
Changes that have come over me in these last 2 days. I've been afraid that I might drift away. So I've been telling old stories, singing songs that make me think about where I came from, and that's the reason why I seem so far away today. I'm an electric hell, yeah, that I love you. Think about you all the time. Caledonia, look on me, and now I'm going home. But if I should become a stranger, you know that it would make me more than sad. Caledonia is everything I've ever had. I have moved and kept on moving,
All right,
Hey,
that was Fish with Caledonia. That was awesome. All right, she's here, so let's bring her in. Diana, are you there?
I am, yes. I was wondering what was going on, but yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, we played a little music before you came in, so it was kind of in the middle of it when you showed up. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're so honored to have Diana Gabaldon here. So,
thank you so much for taking absolutely, and thank you so much for taking some time to be on the show.
That's no problem. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Okay, so my two boys here, Will and Thunder, are a little new to Outlander, so I will let them go first with any questions they might have or whatnot.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Thunder hasn't seen or read any of it, so I'm going to let him go first.
Just call me out right out the match right there. No.
Well, yeah, of course.
No, yeah. No. Well, actually, I've done a little bit of homework, and then read up a little bit, and I mean that's 11 books you've done in the last 25 years in this series, which is amazing. But one question I had to ask, absolutely, and now you have the TV series. I mean, first of all, congrats on the success of the series, and now the TV show. It's amazing. How did this come to life? I mean, was this something that you had in the back of your mind? How did this all get created? I mean, the characters and all that, they're inspired by people you know, or is this just something that was just fantasy in your mind and just came to be?
Well, none of the above. I knew from a very early age that I was meant to be a novelist. I just didn't know how. And that's always one thing and another. I came from a very conservative family background. My dad would say to me, "You're such a poor judge of character. You're bound to marry some bum. So be sure to get a good education so you can support your children." So with this going on at home, I thought perhaps I wouldn't announce novels for a living, since I thought this was rather financially iffy, even at the tender age of 8. And so I went into science. I have a PhD in quantitative behavioral ecology and a few other degrees in the biological sciences. But I liked science. I was good at it. I liked teaching, but I knew I was supposed to be a novelist. And when I turned 35, I said, well, Mozart was dead at 36. Maybe you better get a move on here. And so I said, okay, on my next birthday, I'm going to start writing a novel. It's just for practice. I'm not going to show it to anyone. I'm not going to tell anyone what I'm doing. It's just to learn how to write a novel. And so I said, what's the easiest kind of novel I could write for practice? And I thought for a bit, said, well, for me, maybe historical fiction, because I was a research professor. I knew my way around the library. Said it seems easier to look things up than to make them up. And if I turn out to have no imagination, I can steal things from the historical record. And so I said, fine, historical novel. Where shall I set this? Because I've got no background in history, just the 6 hours of Western civilization they make you take as an undergraduate. And so one time would do as well as another. I'd have to look it all up anyway. So I was casting around looking for an interesting time and place in which to set this book. And I happened to see a really old Doctor Who rerun. Are you familiar with Doctor Who?
Yeah,
Will is a huge Doctor Who.
You've heard the name?
Huge.
Okay, yeah. Well, in case anyone hasn't, it is a really old, really long-running show filmed in Great Britain, where it was originally done as a kids' show. It's gotten much more adult recent years, though. And the doctor of the title is a Time Lord from the planet Gallifrey who travels through space and time having adventures in his TARDIS. And along the way, he picks up companions from different periods of Earth's history. And in this very old episode, which has to have been filmed more than 50 years ago, he had picked up a young Scotsman from 1745. And this was a young man, 1819, who appeared in his kilt. And I said, well, that's kind of fetching. So I found myself still thinking about this the next day and said, well, you want to write a book. It doesn't really matter where you set it. The important thing is, pick a point and get started. So I said, fine, Scotland, 18th century. So that's where I began, knowing nothing about Scotland or the 18th century at the time, having no plot, no outline, and no characters. Nothing but the rather vague images conjured up by the notion of a man in a kilt, which is a very powerful and compelling image, of course. But anyway, that's where I began. And,
oh, yeah.
And, well, yes. But in answer to your other part of your question, no, I don't base characters on people that I know, with a few minor exceptions. I will every once in a while write a friend of mine into a book as a joke. or, as a tribute or whatever. But I always show them the pieces that I've written about them and say, look, if you would like me to change this, if you don't want me to use it, just tell me, no problem. And no one has ever asked me to do that. They all said, oh, that's great. So anyway, there are here and there scattered through the books. They're all just little cameo roles, but there are a few friends of mine in there. And of course,
do any of them ever like say something like, oh, you were way off, that wasn't like me at all?
Oh, no. I mean, like I say, I show them the pieces, and they realize that they're written as jokes. And in some cases, I see exactly where they came from. But no one's ever asked me to change anything, or let alone taken offense at it. Actually, there was one.
It's so much fun and light-footed right there, and you can imagine as a friend, you're like, oh, and just the gratitude of, oh yeah, you kind of thought of me right there, and you could use our friendship and what you know about me and do it light-footed like that. That'd be awesome. If I found a friend of mine who did that in a book, I'd be, you know what, I love that. And, you put anything you want in there, it's awesome.
Yeah, they're immortalized forever. And that
That's
actually
right.
opens up that actually opens up a question that Justin, not Scary Justin, but our friend Justin from my dear friend from SonicCathedral.com, he had a question. And that was, he said, what is the greatest difficulty you had from the beginning with structuring narrative for Outlander? Have there been any new challenges that have cropped up that are unique with the later installments? I guess, in other words, did you envision what the novels ended up becoming when you first started out? I guess that would be the most succinct way to put it.
Did I sit down like J.K. Rowling, plot everything out, and say, oh, there's going to be so many books, and this one's going to start here, and this one's going to end there? People think it works that way, but no, I don't plan out a thing before I start writing a book. I don't start at the beginning, and I don't end at the end. I write things where I can see something happening. And so to begin with, all I need on any given day is what I call a kernel. It's a very vivid image, a line of dialogue, something that I can see concretely or hear or smell or whatever. And once I've got one of those, I write it down as well as I can. When I sit there and stare at that sentence or two sentences, and I move things around and add clauses and take out adjectives and shuffle things, trying to get the sentence to be as clear and elegant and euphonious and, as expressive of what I'm thinking as I possibly can. And while I'm doing that, my mind is sort of kicking up questions, like, what time of day is it? How is the light falling? Is the room cold? Sort of trying to figure out where I am, and in some of the later books, whose head I'm in. The first book is written entirely in the first person because, I was writing it for practice. Didn't see any reason to make things difficult, and that would just be a viewpoint that came most naturally and easily to me. But no, I don't have any trouble with the narrative structure. It's sometimes a challenge figuring out where the pieces fit, but owing to the way I work, it's not that I have to make up a plan and say, will this work, will this work, will this work? Oh, my God, I'm stuck on Chapter 6, which a lot of people say to me. And I say, well, do you know what happens in Chapter 7? I say, oh, yes, but I can't write that until I get Chapter 6. Of course you can, because you have to write that straight line.
That does kind of show in your books a little bit, though, but the way that so many different mini novels have spawned off or branched off into, like especially with Lord John and you're working. Are you working on a novella right now about Master Raymond, who is like one of my favorite characters personally? But
no, I'm not. In the fullness of time, I'll probably write an entire novel about Master Raymond, but I'm not there yet. Right now, I'm working on the 9th book of the main series. Have you read the novella called The Space Between? Because that one does have Master Raymond in it as a fairly significant role.
Oh, you know what? You have so many of the other. I have all the Outlander books, and I have, I think, one or two of Lord John, but I'm still working on all the other ones. But
okay.
And then my brain just totally went blank right now.
Well, the one thing you said there, which just totally amazes me, there is that there's so much more into the writing concept that a lot of us laymen really think about. When we read a book, we're just, going along with the story and, enjoying the thoughts that you have. And when you're talking about, when you write a sentence and you have to think about, all right, what time of day it is? What am I doing? What else is going on around there? And describing that to make the whole sentence a complete vision right there. That really opened my mind right there and opened my eyes when I'm reading a book is, into the mind of the author right there, because you have to it's not just dialogue. Like, now that you guys are doing scripts and you're doing the TV series, all the visual effects are there. So it's the dialogue is what's the written part right there. And the rest behind there with, with the screenshots and doing the, background is already there. And in a book, that's given to you right there by the author. And that really, as I said, it just opened my eyes there to kind of a new feeling to, like when I'm sitting back reading a book of what you're going through as an author to try to describe the whole, everything that's going on. And that was well put.
Well, thank you. As I occasionally say to people, who complain to me about how difficult, their novel is, I'd say, look, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Exactly.
That's true. Well, now I remembered what I was going to ask. You just mentioned you're working on book 9. So for those of us out there who are also fans of the show, what do you think will come first, book 9 or season 2?
Well, I can answer that one for you. It takes me 2 to 3 years to write one of these books, and they'll start filming season 2 in May. It will air probably in the spring of 2016. So certainly you'll get season 2 before you get book 9.
Oh, okay.
I had a.
So
I have a
noticed
couple
Will.
of questions.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Will. I saw your question here.
Well, first off, I mean, I'm a huge fan of both Ronald D. Moore and Bear McCreary. Ronald D. Moore, of course.
Those guys are great.
Yeah, he did the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, which is like one of my I love the original series, but as a kid, but that reboot was incredible, and of course Bear McCreary did on that. And Bear McCreary has done the music in just about everything that's popular these days. He's The Walking Dead.
I'm amazed.
And another show on Starz, Black Sails, which is an
Black
incredible
Sails,
show.
Yeah.
So, how did you wind up? How did Ronald D. Moore contact you, or how did that work?
Well, it's a slightly long story, but I'll boil it down as much as I can. To start with, you probably have some idea of what a film option is. That means if a production company or someone is interested in making a movie or a TV show out of your book, they approach you or your agent, and they offer you what is usually a modest amount of money for what's called an option. And all that is an exclusive period of time during which they have the sole right to try to develop the property. That is, to round up a director and get funding and arrange contracts and maybe pitch the show, if it's a show, to networks and get everything set. If they can do that, and it's a long shot, them being able to do that, most options expire without being used. If an option expires in that way, it comes back to you at the end of the time, and you can then either extend the option if you like the people and want them to keep trying, and if they want to, or you can sell it to someone else, or you can just sit on it for a while. Sir Anthony Burgess, I heard, lived off his film option for A Clockwork Orange for 35 years before someone finally made a film of it. Though when they did, it was quite a good film. Anyway, Outlander was written 25 years ago, about that. Anyway, in that intervening time, we have optioned those books only 4 times, because when you sell an option, you want to deal with people who've actually made a movie. Which cuts out about 95% of the people who ask. Of the remaining 5%, you want someone who's actually read the book. There's a number of them just want it because it's a bestseller. They plan to write their own, Kelson Highland story, and they don't really care what yours says. And of those who've read the book, you want people who understand the book. I had a very nice producer who flew over from Hollywood to talk to me once. We were getting on very well over lunch. She wanted to do a 4-hour miniseries for ABC. And we were getting on quite well, but at one point she said, well, ABC has their own stable of actors that they like to work with, who are mostly Americans. She said, now, of course, Jamie needs to be Scottish because of the kills in the accent. She said, but I don't see why we couldn't change the script and make Claire an American. I said, oh, you don't? Well, in that case, you don't see why I won't give you an option either. But I didn't.
Right.
So anyway, as I say, we've optioned the books only 4 times. And all those options expired, save the last one, which was with a nice guy named Jim Kohlberg, who truly did understand the book, and was just dying to make a 2-hour movie. Now, he'd made several small films that were critically acclaimed, very successful for their size, and, we liked him, and we trusted him with the material. So he set in trying to make a 2-hour movie. Well, this is, as I say, a very difficult prospect, even more so when you're dealing with a book that cannot be described in 25 words or less. I mean, let alone be high concept. You can't say what genre that book is in any way, shape, or form. But all you can do is start telling people the story and hope they're engaged, which luckily seems to work most of the time. Anyway, Jim did everything he could. He engaged several very prominent screenwriters to write scripts for him, and some of which I saw. And, no knock on these people. It's almost an impossible job to put that book into a 2-hour movie script. But as I told Ron when he showed me his pilot script, I said, this is the first thing I've ever read based on my book that did not make me either turn white or burst into flame. You just can't do it, is what it comes down to. Well, meanwhile, while Jim was struggling with this problem, Ron had wrapped up Battlestar Galactica. He had a a pilot contract with Sony where they would, pay for 3 pilot projects of his. He'd done 2 and had broken pilots, as they call it. That is, they didn't lead to long-running series. And so he was, thinking, what am I going to do next? So he was having dinner with his wife, Terry Dressbox, who's the costume designer, and man, she's fabulous for the show. And his production partner, Meryl Davis, is also fabulous in her own way. But he was talking to them about, what am I going to do next? And one of them said, well, have you read Outlander? It's, got everything you like. It's historical fiction, got these very strong characters and beautiful central female character. And he's saying, well, no, what is this? Anyway, the other lady popped up and said, oh, are you an Outlander fan too? And they started doing what Outlander fans do when they meet each other, which is to talk excitedly and wave their hands. And Ron said, I was sipping my martini and looking back and forth between them. And finally I said, well, that sounds interesting. Do you have a copy? At which my wife looked at me in disgust and said, there's 20 copies all over our house. Have you ever noticed? But Meryl whipped one out of her bag and handed it to him. So he took it home and read it that night, the whole thing in one night, which is quite a feat in itself. And he decided that he was really, really interested in this. He said, it was a great story. It never went where I thought it was going to go. I'd think it was going this way, and suddenly it whipped the rug out from under me and we're off in another direction. And he said, most importantly, I saw how it could be a TV show. So he went looking for the rights holder, which was, of course, Jim Colberg. And Jim said, no, I want to make a 2-hour movie out of it. And Ron said, fine, we'll check back with you. Ron's very low-key and very effective because of it. But they kept checking back, every 6 months and saying, well, how's that 2-hour movie working out for you, Jim? And finally he said, well, I'm beginning to think you're right. Maybe it is a TV show. So at that point ensued nearly 2 years of just the most tangled negotiations you can imagine. But we emerged with sort of a 5-sided deal, ultimately, that involved Ron and the Sony Corporation, who had his contract, and Jim Colberg, who is still an executive producer on the show, though he's not involved in the day-to-day, and me, and ultimately Starz, who is the network that picked up Ron's pitch for it. So all these entities are involved. Now, Sony actually owns the entire show. They hire everyone from the top down. Starz, however, is the U.S. distributor, and therefore in charge of, the marketing and merchandising and things like that in the U.S. Sony sells the rights in all the other countries, and we'll look for a distributor in each country. So at the moment, I think they told me it's been sold in 87 different countries. So doing well. But anyway, that's how we fell into the hands of Ron D. Moore, and nothing luckier could possibly have happened.
Wow, that is amazing. Actually, there's a fan question here from Julia Mallon. She wanted to know, because you were really involved in the season 1 and all that. Are you going to be involved in season 2 as well? Are you going to constantly have an active role in the making of the show as it progresses, or are you going to just kind of let them go the more it goes on, like kind of let them have more control? Or
Well, I don't have any control as it is, but I am a consultant on the show. And as my agent told me when he negotiated the contract saying that, he said, being a consultant can mean anything or nothing. Usually when they call you a consultant, it just means they're paying you money so that to stay out of their hair and not do anything. But, they might ask you to do something, in which case it's up to them how much to involve you. And luckily enough, they did want to involve me to a fairly high degree. So, they show me scripts. They show me casting videos. I have no power over who they cast, but they do show me videos and say, well, we really hope you like this guy. So I said to them once,
did you have a hand in choosing Sam at all, or was he like one of your picks, or?
No. As I say, I have no control whatever over casting, and I would certainly.
No. What I mean is, when, if they showed you the person that they wanted, were you like, oh, this guy's this guy looks good, or not that you had any say in it, but like.
Yes, they do show
me
things like that. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
was he one of the ones that you did like?
Well, it's not like they showed me a whole row and said, here, pick one. They called me up.
Right.
I was driving from Flagstaff to Santa Fe, and they called me en route and said, we're so excited, we think we found Jamie. This was like 4 days after they started casting or looking. And so I was astonished because everyone thought it would just take forever to find Jamie because he's so specific, and so clearly described in the book. You can't really... well, let's put it this way, you can't cast Tom Cruise to be Jamie and have anybody like it.
No.
So they were thinking it's going to take a long time to come up with somebody who meets the outline of Jamie. And sure, here he was just 4 days later, and they were so excited. And I said, oh, great. Who is he? And they told me his name. They said, we're sending you the casting video, then you can look at it on your computer. I said, okay, well, it'll be a few hours till I get to Santa Fe. I'll look at it as soon as I get there. So meanwhile, my husband was driving, and I was Googling on my iPhone, Sam, you doing? Well, Sam is a very chameleonic actor. He looks totally different in every single role. And he also had, been a steadily working actor since, I think, 2002 or so. But, in generally small films, TV series, 1 or 2 episodes, things like that. And so, it was very intermittent. It wasn't like he had a huge photo gallery. And what was there, as I say, he looks totally different in all of them. For one thing, he's naturally blonde with very, very curly hair, but, for a number of his roles, it was dyed black and plastered down and so forth. I was looking at these pictures, and I was saying to my husband, this man is grotesque. What are they thinking? He's got a very
I do
unique
remember a lot of people, a lot of fans, outraged at first. How did they find, why did they pick this guy? And I remember you kept saying, just wait and see, just wait and see. And sure enough, because even myself, I had a picture in my mind of a certain person that I always saw. And then as soon as the show came out, I didn't see that person anymore. I saw him,
Yeah, exactly. Well, he is a wonderful actor. And, when I got to Santa Fe and was able to look at the casting video, I brought it up and sort of peeking through my fingers. And 5 seconds in, I was saying, he doesn't look anything. He gets photos. He looks fine. 5 seconds later, he was gone. And it was just Jamie Fraser right there. I was just astounded. And I wrote back to Meryl and Ron and said, oh, my God, you actually found him. I didn't think you ever would. But, there he is. No doubt about it. And, yeah. So,
well, that's a question I have.
Claire as well.
Well, that's like a question I have right there, as being the creator of this whole thing, and this is your world and your mind right here, and to take it from the book. I mean, as a reader, when you go from reading a book and you go see a movie, and you finally see a face to what you've imagined. It's just like with radio. I mean, a lot of people hear our voices all the time, and they have an image of who we are. And when they see you, it's a total different image in most parts.
It comes as a horrible
well,
shock.
how is this for you? How is this as a writer for you? You created this person. You have your image. How has that transcended from the page to the screen for you? And how, were the difficulties? What are the pleasures? And the whole idea of, all right, all of a sudden, this is my image, and it is an image. It's real now.
Well, I mean, the image in my head is as real to me as the show is. It's not really a problem seeing it on the television. That does not say, oh my God, suddenly it's concrete, because it's always been concrete as far as I'm concerned. But I also have absolutely no problem viewing them as, separate but related things. And part of that is because I actually understand a couple of things. I used to write comic books for Walt Disney, and I understand how you tell a story in visual images, and it's different from the way you tell a story in text. Quite different. You do different things in the narrative structure, and both mediums have their advantages, but they do have marked differences. So, I was not expecting it to do all of the things that I can do easily in text, and at the same time, I appreciated the things that you could do spectacularly in a visual medium, which are much more difficult to do in a textual medium. So, I sort of went into it expecting there to be major differences. Also, I had the advantage of having read all of these dreadful scripts that were trying to adapt the movie. So compared to that, anything would have been wonderful. But beyond that, I also have adapted one of my novels to a graphic novel form. So, I kind of know how that works. You have to select the pieces that you're going to use. You're not going to get everything in that's in the book. So I wasn't expecting it to. The third thing is that owing possibly to the way I write, or possibly just to the innate ability that I have to sense patterns, I could see what the pattern was to a television show. They have a set number of episodes, 16 in our case, which is extremely generous. I was telling George Martin about that, and he said, oh, how many episodes are they giving you? And I said, 16. And he said, what? They only give me 10. It was very generous. But you need it for something the size of Outlander. Even so, that is only 16 55-minute episodes. I read Outlander out loud for a recording for the blind and dyslexic. I used to volunteer for them, and then they let me read my own book when somebody asked for it. Anyway, I know that even read as quickly as I talk, it takes 32 hours just to read that book aloud. So it has slightly less than 16 hours, to cram the visual image of this book. Beyond that, the structure is quite different. When I'm writing a novel, I'm God. The climaxes can happen where I want. The speed with which the plot accelerates is completely in my control. If I want to, pause and digress into, this interesting side thing, I can, no problem, as long as I can keep people turning pages, which, I can. And so, the structure of a novel is completely in my hands, and I can take as much room as I need or think I need to do that. The guys running the show can't. They have a very set amount of time, and beyond that, it's a set structure. Each episode is kind of a little art. It needs to have its own theme and its own little mini story. It has to, have a certain amount of action to carry people through it, a certain amount of explication, and it needs to kind of come down in a suitable place, either in a satisfying place or in a cliffhanger-ish place, sometimes both. But it needs to do all of those things in 55 minutes. Okay, this does not translate directly from a book that, may take 150 pages to reach the first climax and so forth. So they need to move things around. What they do is they call it breaking script, and that's just what it is. They break up the novel into individual scenes and then into individual sub-scenes, and Ron has them extract every single line of dialogue from the book, write it down in a list, and then draw from that as much as they could. But, so people seeing the show recognize it as Outlander. It's wonderfully acted. It's set in Scotland, which is fantastic. Photography is terrific. The writing is wonderful. But it will be slightly different because you just cannot take it page by page from the book. It's a matter of fitting one structure into another one that's completely different. And so, they'll move things around. You will see all of your favorite scenes, or most of them, but they may not be where you expect them to be. They may need to move something that would normally happen in the middle of the book up a little farther toward the front so that you'll know this because something else is going to happen in the middle of the book that they need to fit that particular arc. So when they do move things out of place and reconnect them in slightly different ways, sometimes they need to write auxiliary material to kind of twist back into the main narrative of the book. It does follow the main narrative of the book, but there are scenes that are, split up. You'll see half of the scene here, and you'll see the other half of that scene, two episodes later. So, and you will recognize the dialogue and the action from the book, so that gives you a nice feeling of recognition. At the same time, they show me the dailies, the daily footage that they shoot, and they also show me the episodes as they're put together in rough cuts and then in final cuts. And, it's just fascinating to me. It's fascinating just to watch how the dailies work, but to see what a skilled job editing is, to select specific shots that will do this, will do that will make this very delicate structure, this 55-minute arc. That's just fabulous. And, like anybody else, I recognize the characters in the story as being Outlander, but there's this wonderful sense of novelty and discovery because, I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm constantly amazed. So luckily that seems to be the case for most of the people who are watching the show as well.
Well, yeah, we've got several questions. I know
let me step back real quick. I'm going to step back because there's so much going on right now. First of all, I just want to say one thing real quick. And coming into the show, I did not know anything about Outlander except for the little I studied on in the last couple of days. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, you are so entertaining on your own. I cannot wait to start reading your books, and I'm going tomorrow to buy the first book. I guarantee that. And I want to thank you because the insightfulness that you just, you lay into this, it is unbelievable. I'm going to step back and let everybody get their questions in, but I want to thank you personally for being as fantastic as you are. And I'm already hooked before I've read the first word. Before I read a word of these stories, your stories alone have entertained me more than a lot of books I've read in my life. So I want to say thank you for being a part of this, and you've got my mind just wide open right now. Thank you.
I think we just started the Will and Thunder Outlander book club. So anyone out there in the chat room who wants to join, we'll talk Outlander now every week instead of football.
Unbelievable.
Football comes back. But we got so many questions from fans about. I know you can't give away any spoilers, but everyone has just been like, when it gets to the scenes with Blackjack and Jamie, we know you and I know what I'm referring to here. The other guys here don't know because they haven't gotten that far. But
I will shortly.
Spoil it for them, but it's very visceral. It's completely heart wrenching as well as gut wrenching. Dee Dee said that she needs to prepare for it emotionally. So.
Well, speaking of emotional, somebody in the chat room a little while back asked if you get like as emotional as she does when she's reading when you're actually writing these things.
Oh, yeah. I live through the scene while I'm writing it. So, yeah, if it's a deeply emotional scene, absolutely.
Wow.
And there was another question that I had seen that I thought was a really good question that was somebody posted on the Facebook page. Are you at any point going to get into the madness of King George in the show?
Oh. No, I don't think so.
But you did say so yourself that sometimes you don't know where you're going to go with your book, so you never know, right?
Yeah. No, I don't. But, I am now writing book 9, and I have not dealt with the madness of King George up to this point. Now, whether I will at some point, I can't say. I might. But we would be a whole long way past where the show is at the moment. So I can tell you that they're definitely not dealing with it in season 1 or season 2. And I'd be kind of surprised if they dealt with it to any large degree in subsequent books. Because, it's not a main part of the plot, and you would have to go to London, really, to deal with that, and none of the books take place in London. So, it would take sort of a major derailment just to cram that in, and, why?
I guess that would require, like, writing a novella about somebody else, like a Lord John book, even if it could be done, but something like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, everybody asks questions, too, about, are you going to write a novella about young Ian or about this or that character, and because everyone just loves your characters, not just Jamie and Claire, but all these other people that you brought into this world that everyone loves, and it's just everyone. It seems like everyone has their favorite character they want to read more about.
Yeah, well, I don't plan the novellas out ahead of time either. So it's mostly, does an idea kind of come along? Sometimes I'll be thinking about a character in the book and that I'm writing, and, working with them. But, they may do something or say something that illuminates some aspect of their past for me. I'll say, oh, really? So that's how that happened. And, sometimes something like that grows into a novella. Other times, like with Lord John, given who he is and what he is, he's a soldier. Very honorable gentleman. He belongs to an aristocratic family. He's the younger son, so his elder brother is a duke. But he's an aristocrat, a nobleman, very upright guy. He's out, however, gay, which was a capital offense in the 18th century Britain. If anybody ever finds out what he is, he'll be lucky to get off with hanging. Otherwise, it's beheading, transportation. His family will be ruined. Everything he cares about will go down the drain. So he lives with that constant conflict. But he is a soldier also, which makes him very mobile. So I can kind of move him around. He's not attached to a specific place the way that Jamie and Claire tend to be, or at least they're attached to a place for a long stretch of time. Lord John doesn't have to be. And so when I'm thinking about him, sometimes I think, where might he be going at this particular point in his career? Because I know he was here then in the main books, and I know he was there then. Next time he appears in the main books, where was he in between? So I take one of my reference guides that is like an encyclopedia of battles or the timetables of history, and I'll pick a year somewhere in his open space, and I'll say, well, what was going on in that year? Was there anything interesting going on militarily speaking? Well, being the 18th century, there always was. So I take kind of a theater of operations or a particular battle that I want to deal with. The custom of the Army, for instance, deals with the Battle of Quebec, and that's all I knew about it when I started writing that book. I said, well, how's he going to get from London to Canada? Because he's not in Canada to start with. What would take him there? And that's why that novella starts with an electric eel party in London. And I think the opening sign is, it was all the eel's fault. So I went on from there. Because, the novellas come together the same way the big books do, in bits and pieces. And I had just been sort of harboring the idea of an electric eel party for a long time, ever since I came across mention of them. They used to be, kind of a real thing in London. And you would get the proprietor of an electric eel to come to your party, and the guests would take turns being shocked by the eel, and they'd join hands and see how far the shock could travel down the line. I think the record was an eel that knocked down 28 people at once. Thanks to 600 volts. Yeah, they're very dangerous things.
The things we did before TV and internet, right?
Yeah. Hey, you gotta pass the time.
Right.
Do you guys want to break for a second? We'll play a little song or something, and then so we can catch our breath and everything. There's a lot of dialogue happening here tonight, and I was I was going to try and put subtitles on the YouTube video when I did that, but if I did that, I think Book 9 would be released before I got the subtitles done.
Yeah, we promised people that this would be up within 24 to 48 hours, so what I might do then is work on transcribing it and put it up on Facebook or something.
There's other options.
You know what? There's a ton of dialogue here, but the dialogue's been fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying it. Let's go ahead and play one of the songs you have queued up here, Chris, and so we can kind of catch our breath and everything, and we'll be right back.
I'm kind of dehydrated.
Okay, sounds good.
But, all right, we're going to play a tune from the Outlander soundtrack. This one's called Coming Through the Rye. I believe. I had to write it short because it wouldn't fit in the title here. But let's give it a listen. It's a jaunty tune, and I think we'll all enjoy it. So, yeah, let's give it a listen on the Will and Thunder Show.
All right, welcome back to the Will and Thunder Show. We're back with our guest here, the author of the Outlander books and the TV show. And I do love the soundtrack on that. Was that actually done by was that composed by Barry McCreary?
Well, Coming to the Rye is a traditional Scottish song. He uses a lot of traditional folk songs as the basis for his soundtrack, but the arrangements that he uses are his own composition. So that's, kind of a solo string arrangement of that particular song.
Okay. That man is a musical genius.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. And, a lot of the incidental music for the show is entirely original composition.
I believe it.
Yeah, I was listening to it last night, and it's just beautiful all the way from beginning to end. It's gorgeous.
That's one thing. I mean, it's got such a distinct sound to it. When you get to Scottish and Irish music like that, where you throw the mandolins and the acoustic guitars and bagpipe, I mean, it's so full, and I love the music right there. I actually got a chance to meet a great Irish folk band years and years ago, and to hear and watch them play together. I love the music.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Now, do you listen to music when you write, or are you inspired by music at all? Because I know we talk to a lot of musicians who are inspired by books and things, so I just wonder if authors are inspired by music sometimes.
Well, sometimes they are. I have in the past, sometimes written to music. I wrote a lot of the third book, Voyager to Camarina Burana, just because it seemed good. But I can't listen to music that has lyrics while I'm writing, because the words kind of interfere with what's going on in my head. So sometimes I'll listen to instrumental music. But it can't be something that I sing along to either for the same reason. So, I usually don't listen while I'm writing, except, once in a while I will just think of a song and, drop into it. For instance, in the last book I wrote, a character was singing or rather chanting a song called The Shropshire Fight to another character, and I wanted to check the lyrics, and so I knew that song had been recorded by the Coreys, who I'm very fond of. And I actually know the surviving Corey, who gave me permission to quote from The Flowers of Scotland for an earlier book. But anyway, I brought up a YouTube video of the Coreys doing the Shropshire fight, which is very rousing with two of the Celtic war drums, the Bogdans. And that was so cool that I just listened to it 3 times running.
Oh, cool.
And that's also, I love Celtic, because, I was talking about Irish and Scottish and the Celtic. Actually, my son, one of my sons, he's got a Celtic name. His name is Kavan, which is Celtic for Kevin, which is my first name, and I named him after myself with the Celtic name right there.
Oh, that's nice. That's so metal, Thunder. I never knew that.
Yes, Kavan Xander Handy is my, yep.
Thunder Jr.
A little tribute to the Irish right there, the Celtic.
Irish Thunder.
Huh?
This is an Irish.
Celtic is both. Celtic is both. All right.
Yes. We'll get a pass. But actually, that brings up a question that Charlene Hillfields had, and she wanted to know, where did you come up with the name of Craig Nadoon? Because obviously it's a fictional place. But how did you come up with the name, or was it something that just popped in your head one day, or?
Well, I have a very slight familiarity with Gaelic, but when I was writing the first book, I wanted to use Gaelic in some of the dialogue because I knew that was what people were actually speaking in the Highlands, and rather than just have Claire be bewildered all the time, but without noting what people were actually saying, I said, well, I got to use a bit, and so I got hold of the Gaelic English dictionary, which was not an easy thing to do in Phoenix, Arizona, in 1988. I had to send to Boston for it to a place called Steinhoff's Foreign Books. But anyway, I was flipping through that and picking out words here and there, and sort of putting together very hand-handed dialogue on occasion. But I happen to know that Craig is the Gaelic word for rock, and Dun is a hill. And so I said, okay, it's the hill of rocks, and it's a fairy hill. And it just seemed like kind of a onomatopoeic name, sort of atmospheric and appropriate for a fairy hill, especially because of the stones, the standing stones. This is a hill with standing stones on top. So, it was sort of a logical process, but, as I say, kind of ham-handed.
Now, I had a question of speaking of the monument or whatever, and I'm wondering if at any point in the books is exactly the technobabble of how the time travel actually took place. Okay.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. Now,
wasn't that kind of the thread that runs along all the books, like the big mystery of how it all works?
Yes. Exactly.
Who can go through the stones and who can't?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the characters are, kind of working it out by trial and error, and, every time they learn some new little fact, they're trying to fit it into the overall theory. And, if you write time travel stories, assuming that they're not just, really basic, costume dramas where you're just switching times because you enjoy the past, but if the time travel is actually part of the plot, then you have to figure out how it works. Can your time travelers change things? If they do, what happens? If somebody dies when they shouldn't have, what happens down the line in the future? That sort of thing. And so they're of course worried about this as it affects them and their families and their futures and everything. And so they keep working at the problem. And so little by little we learn more as they learn more. But there's never a place where some master shows up and explains it all, because I wanted people to sort of feel the confusion and anxiety that the characters were feeling when they had to deal with this terrifying phenomenon. I wanted it to be genuinely terrifying.
Right.
That said, though, I was invited to write up the Gabaldon theory of time travel for the Journal of Transfigural Mathematics in Berlin, and I did. It was in the rudimentary stages. That only covered the material of the first two books, but it did answer the questions about, what a time traveler can theoretically affect and what he or she can't.
Wow, I'd actually like to read that. Is it printed somewhere or?
I believe it is. Yeah, I think that I put it in the Outlandish Companion. I'm pretty sure it's in there.
Yeah, actually, the second is the second version that just came out recently.
It's about to come out, yeah. I revised the Outlandish Companion. We should tell your listeners what that is for those who don't know. It's a nonfiction book that I wrote 17 years ago as an effort to answer all of the questions that people have been asking me for the previous 10 years. It covers the first 4 novels of the series, and it has all kinds of background and trivia and essays and, fun things. And as my husband says, it's a great bathroom book because you can pick it up and put it anywhere. But it is 17 years old, and I've written a lot more since then. So I told the publisher that I wanted to revise it. So when they reprinted it, it should be a new version. And there were a couple of chapters that were just totally obsolete. There was one about, online resources. Of course, the Internet is a completely different place now than it was 17 years ago. So none of those resources are at all, effective anymore. And one other chapter was, work in progress. And it was all excerpts from the Fiery Cross. It's just been out for a good long time, too. So I pulled both those chapters out. And there were also a few things in the FAQ section that were obsolete, like asking me what I thought of people trying to make a movie of my book. And, now with the show, that's a moot point. So I pulled out all of the obsolete bits and replaced them with fresh material. I put in 4 new essays, and I put in a section about the show, explaining how we got from book to TV show, and put in a couple of long blog posts that I wrote about my brief career as a TV actor, because they invited me to do a small speaking part, a cameo, in episode 4, and so I wrote all about what that was like. It was fascinating.
Yeah, actually, a couple of fans wanted to know, are they going to have you back on the show doing other cameos, or reprising that role possibly, or is that that's just a one-time thing?
Well, it's totally up to them. If they ask me to do it, I certainly would. But but it's their show.
Yeah. Well, when does the book come out for everybody out there who is new to the series or doesn't know that it's available or will be available?
The book or the second half of the show?
No, I mean the Outlandish Companion.
Right.
Okay. Is that out now? Or?
No, but almost. The new revised and updated edition will come out March 31st. Now, there is also a second volume, which is a completely new book, which has all kinds of completely different stuff in it, and that one will come out in October. I'm still pulling together the few pieces of that.
Well, then I have to ask my own personal question. When is Moby coming out in paperback?
June the 3rd.
Oh, thank God. Because I have a lot of willpower. I haven't read it yet because I have all your books in paperback, and I like to. I'm kind of orderly. I like to have them all match. So I'm like, I'll just wait till the paperback comes out, and I've been waiting. So I've kind of been like, no spoilers, anyone.
Yeah.
And now March 31st is also the same day that the first half of season 1 comes out on DVD, right?
That'll be March the 3rd, in fact.
Oh, okay. Coming right up.
Okay. That was my next question right there because, as I said, I don't have the good TV where I can get the shows I want when I want them. I just, so March the 3rd, I can go buy the series, or the first half of the series.
That's
okay.
Right.
Yes, and you can catch up.
And that way, the next time that we talk, I'll be like, oh, I can't believe that she did this.
Yeah, you.
I'm already there right now. I'm imagining so much right now.
Yeah, your fans in the chat room have totally been educating Thunder all night on Outlander.
And everybody in the chat room, I just want you to know something right here. All right, look, yes, I am a human being. If I knew everything, my name would be Google or Bing. So I'm learning as we go here. All right.
Bing, Google, man.
Well, I didn't realize how many people knew this series until I started reading them about 7 years ago. And it's one of those things where it's when you discover it and then you tell somebody else, you discover that 20 other people have been into it all the time. You just didn't know. So.
Yeah, it's like
John's
wife and his partner. Yeah.
It's amazing right here. And I apologize to the chat room that I do not know more, and I apologize to you, Diana, that I didn't know more. But you know what? You've got a new fan right now, as I told you earlier. I mean,
but that's our rule of thumb on our show is when we have a guest, normally one of us will know who the guest is, and the other two are kind of in the dark about who the guest is or don't really know them that well. So we like to keep our reactions organic, and keep them real. And when people react to whatever it is they're reading or listening to, then we want one of the other two to be able to say, oh, wow, or react in real time, I guess. So
of course.
So that's kind of, and also a quick note for everybody listening. At the top of the hour, the show is going to go off the air, but if Diana's still here or if she's in the middle of a sentence, and we're not going to just cut off. We go into something called overtime, and everything that we do is all going to be uploaded to YouTube. So anything you miss or any part of the sentence that you didn't catch, it will all be up on YouTube, and you can listen to it. And as soon as Will has it posted, and he's probably going to work on it as soon as we're all done. So don't panic. We got this.
Okay, yeah. Well, you got any more pressing questions?
Will, we've got so many fan questions here. I'm sitting here going through all of them. Like, one of them, I know you can't give away spoilers, and it's so hard because all of these questions are kind of spoilerific a little bit.
Yeah.
One of them is kind of like, as you get to the end of the series, i.e., like when Jamie and Claire reach the end of their lives, they're saying, what are you going to do with it, or how are you going to wrap it up? And it's just,
I don't know.
You can't give away any spoilers. Yeah,
well, I wouldn't if I could, but I can't because, like I say, I don't plan the books out ahead of time. I have no idea how it's going to end.
Right. So you just grow with the characters because you kind of have done that with these characters. We've grown with them over the course of 30 years, give or take. Spoiler alert, everyone.
I was having a long conversation with Sam Hewen when we first met, about the books and character. And we're already friends. We'd talked for a long time via email and Twitter and so forth. But I was telling him, one reason why it takes me a while to write the books is that they're very long and they're very complex. But also I kind of feel like I need to live into the characters, to be at least close to the age where they are, so I kind of know what their perspective is, how they see the world and what the shape of their lives is. I told him it was just really fun to meet Jamie as a young man again, talking to him.
Wow, yeah, I imagine that was kind of and obviously you don't know how long the show's going to go on, but that's going to be really interesting to see how they age the characters over time as the show progresses. It's
I
think
it won't be a problem because Sam and Katrina are both in their mid-30s. She's 35, I think, and he's 34 right now. He'll be 35 at the end of April. But they're playing people in their 20s and doing a fabulous job of it. But I don't think that in 3 years, when it's time for them to be in their mid-40s, that there won't be any problem of them doing that either.
Right.
I wish I could do that.
Don't we all? But actually,
I'm 42 and I look like honestly, I'm 42 years old, and somebody at work the other day told me that I looked like William Shatner. She's 20 years old. She goes, "You look like the Priceline guy," and I was like, "That is not funny. That's not funny." I'm like, he's 70.
Sexy, so take it as a compliment.
Yeah, but he's 70, and he's like, he looks really good for 70. I'm like, yeah, but that means I look really bad for 42. Thanks.
Actually, he's 80. If that makes you feel any better.
Oh yeah, that's even. All right, you know what? Right now, I'm just going to go lay down. Now that I've had such a great night tonight and I talked to this great celebrity, this genius writer, I'm going to go lay down and die right now at 42 and look like I'm 77. I love you guys.
Better about your life.
I appreciate it. Look, hey, my life's complete.
Maybe you went through the stones a few times, and that's why you've aged. So who knows? I mean, maybe you've mastered Diana's theory of time travel. But actually, I mean, you mentioned Sam.
I wish. Diana, do me a favor. My name's Kevin Thunder. Write me back in your books as a little Irish guy, and write me back to about 22 years old, please. God, help me out here.
Okay. We all want to go back to 22, don't we? Well, maybe not myself.
You might end up dead.
Actually, 25 or 26. 22 was kind of a rough year for me, but anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having my looks, but my know-how, maybe not so much. But
I've never wanted. I've never wanted my looks. I'm kind of stuck with them, but anyway, it is what it is.
But yeah. Speaking of age and all of that, another fan submitted a question from Avery. We were kind of talking last night about the books because we're both fans, and we noticed that she kind of brought it up, and I've noticed it too, that Sam and Kate are both the same astrological signs as Jamie and Claire, and that's just that was a trip to us. And are you an astrology buff, and did you make them those signs for a particular reason? And is there a reason that Jamie was born the year of the ox? And
No. I mean, I knew when he was born because I knew how old he was, but no, it's purely coincidental that he was born in the year of the ox.
Well, no, I mean, obviously, as far as like Sam and the real characters to their counterparts go, that was not intentional. But okay, so then you just wrote them the way that they were, and it's just a coincidence that a stubborn Fraser is an ox.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was quite surprised. A very nice professional astrologer wrote to me and actually asked if she could cast their horoscopes, and did. And I thought those were so fascinating that I asked her if I could include them in the Outlandish Companion. So, in fact, they're still there.
I have to read it now because Avery wanted me to do that last night, and I don't think I'm going to have the time to do, because they're really detailed. They take a lot of work, and I can do them, but it just takes a lot of time, and it's just I don't think I have the time to do it. I've got so much other stuff going on today that there's no way I can do this. But I thought maybe for fun we'll sit down and work it out one of these days.
Why not?
But yeah, now I have a reason to go. Well, I had a reason before, but now even more so to go buy the new book so I can read these astrological charts because I'm fascinated.
Sure. Oh, good. Well, I hope you'll enjoy them.
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple of things on my shopping list from you, so the DVDs and all that. So. Yeah, I can't wait to read book 8, and I guess it'll be a while before book 9 comes out, though, right?
Well, it'll be probably a couple of years.
And do you have any Lord John books planned? I know for people out there who are fans.
Yeah. No, there will definitely be at least one more Lord John full-length novel because we have to explain how he married Isabel and what happened after that.
Oh, so Lord John, does he have a plot trajectory as well? I mean, are there now that it's turned into a series of its own? Do you have like an outline of in sort of events that's going to happen to him, or to explain certain things?
But that's something that happened in the main books, is marrying Isabel. But he just tells Jamie that he's going to do it, and so we don't know from the main books what happened. She dies later, but we have no idea what their marriage was like, or how he came to marry her, or any of that sort of stuff. So that will happen in his own book. That's what the Lord John books are, essentially, are things that happened to him while he was off the stage of the main books.
Right. And I just love that that's how the way it is with your characters like that, where there's this main story going on, but off to the side, when you're not seeing or hearing about these other characters, they have lives that are going on that end up as other books, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Somebody actually asked if you ever would consider doing another historical series set in another period of time, and I'm thinking you have so many of these characters.
Yeah,
you kind of made your own universe here that you don't really need to go anywhere else.
Well, yeah.
You could write about just these characters for the rest of your life and not really have to leave the confines.
That's actually one question I was going to ask right there. With everything that you've got going on with the Outlander series, and now it's hitting film, and you've written so many of these stories, is there anything else that you're working on that's beyond this? That it's a new world and new storyline that has nothing to do with this?
Yeah, there's two or three things kicking around in the back of my mind, and when part of one of those bubbles up, I write it down. But I'm not focused on any one of those things at the moment, so you can't really say I'm working on it. But they're there, yeah.
Wow. Well, I know everybody's probably excited to. Now everybody's going to be like, when's those books going to come out? I always say to people who say, when's the next book coming out? I say, well,
and I know that I'm the very last person. I know the very last person to get on the Outlander train. But don't worry, because I'm going to be the conductor in like 3 weeks.
Well, there's always room for you, Thunder. I mean, I'll always make room on my seat.
and I must say this honestly. We've been doing this show for about 2 years right now, and Diana, you are one of the most captivating guests or captivating people I've ever talked to, and I appreciate you taking the time to be on our show, first of all, and to spread your knowledge and your wealth, or however you want to put it.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
That was for the fans in the chat room. If they're still there, I don't even know if it's the chat.
I mean, really, right there. I mean, I am starstruck right now.
Oh.
And I did not, as I said, I did not know you as well as I know you right now. And if you could, through the phone, give me an autograph, I'd be that little kid right there going, please, please, please give me an autograph. You're amazing to me. And I'm starstruck.
Well, I'm really, really flattered. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed the hour very much.
Yes, it's been a huge honor, at least for me, because I've been a fan of your books since before I came onto the show, and I've been reading them for quite several years. I've told this story many times. I found one of your books for 25 cents at the used bookstore, and it was the fifth book, the Fury Cross, and I read like a couple pages of it, and I had to stop because it's just, well, for one, this is so good, but for another, I have no idea what's going on. I should probably go buy the other 4 books so I can figure out because what I'm reading is great, but I have no idea who these characters are or what has happened to them, so I kind of should probably catch up. And I'm rereading the series now again right now, so to get ready for June when Moby comes out in paperback. Yay, I'm so excited.
I hope you'll enjoy it.
And Chris, by the way.
I just have to say something. Somebody in the chat room. Chat room's still running. I don't know if they're hearing the show or if they're just chatting. But one of the people said that I need to tell Chris that I'm excited to see the ice cream in the wedding episode.
That's Avery, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, certain things look like scoops of ice cream. That's all I'm going to... Diana probably knows what I'm talking about.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Yes. I think I'll go watch that after I get off the phone. And, Will, why are you not watching it right now? Where is my whip cracking
I'm kind of doing a show right now, you know?
Is that what this is right here?
All right.
And Chris, thank you so much, by the way, for opening our eyes, or at least opening my eyes to something amazing right here.
Well, I told you guys when I joined the show that I was going to
Change our lives a little bit,
to bring it. I was going to bring it to the next level, man. So I try my best to bring you top quality entertainment. So, and I'm so humbled that Diana was willing to do our show, and because I was a little nervous when I asked at first, and a lot of people have actually turned us down because we have on paper it looks like a small following, but so some guests have turned us down. We're not going to name names because we don't want to give them any free promotion, but they've turned us down because you guys aren't big enough for us, and it's just like, So when you said you would do it, I was just, wow, that's so cool of you. Thank you so much, and I'm just so honored.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, and to everybody who's still in the chat room, if you're all still with us, this is going to get on YouTube ASAP because we know how much you want to hear this, and I will share it on your page when it's ready for everyone.
Oh, thank you.
So your fans overseas can listen to it as well. And I will try to work on a transcript.
Before
we'll
you start
we'll see
doing
if the line comes out first.
Before you start doing that, there's options. So let me look into that before you start doing that. I mean, I know we had one show where there was a whole lot of technical difficulties and everything. I literally had to piece the show together in audio, and that took me probably a good 12 hours. I can only imagine typing this entire hour plus out would probably probably write your own novel in that time.
Yeah, we need one of those programs where you talk into it and it types for you.
Something, except they get really bizarre results.
That'd be fantastic. But have you ever tried to use that when you're texting somebody? Autocorrect is horrible. You'll never have any idea what will go out, and it could destroy Outlander right there. I mean,
I keep thinking of that scene in the Osbournes where Ozzy gets the car and he has to talk to everything, and it doesn't understand anything he says. That would be my luck. I would be like, nobody understands that the car's like, he's all radio on, and we're sorry, we don't understand that, man. Right.
Sure.
Oh, God.
What did he just say? Is he drew? Anyway, once again, Deanna, thanks so much.
Let's go ahead and wrap it up. I mean, this was definitely one of the coolest shows that we've done, and
by far.
And
thank you so much for answering all the fan questions.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure.
I'm definitely excited to watch the wedding episode sometime tonight when I'm waiting for this episode to download. I have a feeling I might wind up, I don't know, either with nightmares or not wanting to go to sleep, one or the other.
It depends which episode you watch.
The last two episodes. You have to watch the wedding and the final episode, both sides now. You have to watch them both before you go to bed. So
I will say this. That scene in the Garrison Captain episode where Jamie is being flogged, I haven't cringed like that since I watched The Passion of the Christ.
Yeah, I had to shut my eyes a few times on that one, like, no.
When you hit 15 and 16.
I think that's one of the few times I actually yelled at the TV, like, you're watching TV sometimes and you yell out loud, like, I'm sitting there, oh my God! Yeah, that was a great job on that with the cast and everybody. It was just perfect.
No, that's fabulous.
I just love the way that they've brought your words to life, and because you're such a visual writer anyway that it's not really hard to imagine a lot of the things that you write. So the fact that this show is just kind of filled in finer details or just put more of a face or details to everything is just so phenomenal. I don't have the words for it. Why isn't it winning Emmys? Was it nominated for any Emmys this year?
Half a season of it out.
They're worried about putting her up on stage because Kanye is going to rush the stage.
Oh. Well, Will, that should be your next Facebook campaign is
that's right.
Get Outlander to win Emmys. Because the way the fans vote, it'll win. It'll get Emmys.
That's right. It's the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to, instead of the all-star football game, the Pro Bowl, we're going to take the best linemen of every football team, and we're going to line every staircase to every award show so Kanye can't get up there.
No. Yeah, actually, that might actually help the show get more promotion.
That's right. And then Outlander will win, and you don't have to worry about Kanye. They'd be like, I should have done the soundtrack for that, or Beyonce should have.
Well, as long as Beyonce doesn't have a TV show, I think she's going to be okay.
No, because he'd be like, Beyonce should have done the soundtrack. She doesn't even know. Or anyway.
She's not from Scotland.
I know.
But, all right, well, now that Diana has met our crazy side, and now she's learned why we are the Spinal Tap of radio.
That's right. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Yes, thanks a million.
Thank you so much. No.
It's been awesome.
Oh, a real privilege, and enjoyed your company very much.
Oh, thank you so much. And we're going to take it out for the evening, everybody who's still with us, hopefully. We're going to play another song from the Outlander soundtrack. It's called, how do you pronounce this? It's called Clean Peas Stray. What is that? Does that have meaning? Or?
Do the wedding contract. Do the wedding contract.
Oh, okay. Well, this one's so jaunty and cute. All right, we'll do the marriage contract because I can pronounce that. So, okay.
All right. And thanks once again for touching us with greatness.
Oh, thank you very much, Thunder.
And good luck with the show and book 9. And thank you, guys. Thank you. Love your books. Can't wait to read everything. So have a wonderful evening, and thanks again for being a guest on our show. And
my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Give you a round of applause.
Thank you. Good night.
And to get Will started on watching the wedding, we're going to play the marriage contract from Outlander. So let's rock it out on the Will and Thunder Show. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week. Our guest will be Odin's Court, so be sure to tune in. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thanks once again for listening to the Will and Thunder Show, and a huge thanks to Diana Gabaldon for being our guest, and a huge, huge thanks to Fish for allowing us to use his music on our show. We'll be back next week with Odin's Court, and have a great week. See you all then. Bye.
Will and Thunder Show, brought to you by Professor Slaughter of Krankenhofen. Side effects may include itchy, watery eyes, low retail on their home, and painful erections. Guaranteed.
Blog Talk Radio.
Basically.
What the hell is that?
I'm sorry. Well.
Welcome to the Will and Thunder Show.
Will and Thunder Show.
Well, welcome into the Will and Thunder Show. It's Tuesday night, and we've got a great show ahead of us tonight. We have a special guest on tonight, but before we get to that, I just want to say a little hello out there to William and Chris. How are we doing tonight, guys?
I'm great. I just want to let everybody know that we just give a little bit of background about our show, what it is, so they're not surprised about what's going to happen over the next 45 minutes to an hour. See, we're actually like a heavy metal comedy show, but we have had guests on that did not fit that mold, and this is one of those nights. And we're honored, with our guest tonight. And I mean, we've never had a New York Times bestseller on. That's freaking awesome. So we just want to let everybody know, all the new listeners that are in the chat room and everything. We're gonna have fun for the first 45 minutes to an hour, goof off like we normally do. And then we're gonna get serious and give our guest all the respect that she deserves, because we're excited to have her and we're honored.
Absolutely, yeah. This is kind of a big thing for us right here, New York Bestseller. We've had a couple authors on our show before, and one definitely should be on the New York Bestseller, and one day will be, absolutely. But this is going to be awesome, and yes, we're going to have a lot of fun this first 45 minutes to an hour. Just going to get down, have a little fun, do a little goofing off, and then after that, we're going to get serious. And I can't wait to get to pick the brain of somebody who has that much genius. So it's going to be fun.
We're going to have fun the whole time. And I take my goofing off very seriously, so...
So do I,
Goofing off is an art form.
That's absolutely right. Actually, we do very well at the goofing off part as well. So anyway, how's things going, Chris? How are you making it today?
I'm here. I made it. I'm in one piece. Yeah, we're going to do this. So, all right, Will, so you have, I noticed that you mentioned before the show that you have a proposal or something new that you wanted to add to the show or suggest or put out there. So what is going on, man? I need to know. I'm dying of suspense.
Okay, well, cue the news music.
All right, say that 5 times fast.
Cue the news music. There we go.
Got it.
I read the news today, oh boy.
All right, getting right off with the news, and I'm launching an official campaign right now, right here on the Will and Thunder Show, and it's time that that heavy metal music, our baby, gets the respect that it deserves. And I came to this realization after seeing the latest Super Bowl halftime show with Katy Perry on it. Now, whatever, she's got a good singing voice and whatever, blah blah blah. And it got me
we
thinking,
should probably mention real quick to our audience that we also love football. So we talk a lot of football on the show. So
yes, we do. A lot of football and a lot of music.
So we have Katy Perry. She's doing the halftime show, and I got to admit that walking tiger thing that she had was really cool. But to me, I'd rather see a big walking Eddie. Eddie, of course, being the mascot from Iron Maiden. So I am putting together. There's a Facebook page, and the title is. Put Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, or Metallica into the Super Bowl halftime show. And why those three bands? Why those three bands? You might not like Iron Maiden, but you might like Metallica or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Those three are the most influential, iconic metal bands out there. They have sold millions upon millions upon millions of records, so they definitely fit the criteria that the NFL has laid out for one of their Super Bowl halftime guests. So I figure if we can get, 1 million plus people to like this Facebook page, then maybe we can make some noise with the NFL, and maybe Metallica gets on first. But if Metallica's on, we're getting heavy metal into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now, finally. So why not?
I'm going with Iron Maiden because I'm going to vote Iron Maiden because I want to see Bruce Dickinson land Ed Force One in the middle of the football field. Otherwise,
it's hard
it's a no-go for me.
That's a 747 jet, and as big as the stadiums are, none of them's big enough to land that kind of a aircraft.
Well, then you sacrifice a few people for the love of the medal. It does, what can I say? I mean, I'll volunteer.
Bring your daughter to the slaughter.
That's
all right, instead of taking people out, instead of, ruining lives and all that, there's a simple solution to that. There's a thing called Air Force 2. It's a helicopter that can land perfectly in the stadium. Nobody has to lose a life.
Ed Force.
That was better than my plan of putting all the death row people and convicted criminals, and that was my plan. Just put them all, in the general area where it might land.
But still, there's not enough area to land. They require about 3 miles worth of landing, just to get one of those things. I mean, if you try to come in too slow, I mean, it's not a Harrier. It can't hover.
That's why I said use the helicopter.
Can't you let me have my dreams? Why do you crush my dreams?
My God.
And on a lighter note. No, for real. No, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and yes, it would be nice to have a good hard metal band, that puts on a show for once.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. One of the people in the chat room suggested that we get Anne Rice on the show, and I would totally be all about that.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that person in the chat room named Justin by any chance? Not Scary Justin. He'll be in a few minutes, but.
Yeah, it is Justin.
Hi, Justin. I knew it was you. You can't hide from me.
Wow, Justin, you're famous.
Justin is one of my esteemed fellow writers at SonicCathedral.com.
Very, very cool. Well, welcome in. And yes, there's a ching for Sonic Cathedral. One more time. There we go. That's right.
That's how we roll. Roll Thunder Show.
That's how we roll. That's right. There's nothing wrong with a selfless plug once in a while.
Well, speaking of selfless plugs, I also wrote a blog spot on my blog, which is williamtelltale.blogspot.com, and explaining in great detail and entertaining detail too about my campaign about landing Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, or Metallica into the Super Bowl halftime show. I mean, when you read it, it will all be so abundantly clear. And I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to sit here and read to you. I'm not one of those.
All right, okay. Do me a favor. Will, slow down just a minute right there, because we have an hour and a half at least left of the show, and I would not want you to dislocate one shoulder, patting yourself on the back right there. Slow down a little bit.
Well, that was my other question. If you manage to have this dream realized and a million people like this Facebook page, and somehow it happens, do you get to pick the set list of whoever wins because my rule would be if Metallica is performing the Super Bowl, they're under no circumstances whatsoever allowed to play anything but stuff from the first 4 albums. That's it.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Like,
they'd have to play Inner Sandman. I mean, you know that.
No. We've heard enough of it.
That's played at every football field as it is right now. That and Welcome to the Jungle. I mean, that's a given. But I mean, there's just certain things. I mean, you cannot. If they came out there and played anything off that horrific album, that they put out.
Speaking of trash can, things that sound like they're in a trash can, Saint Anger. You sound like you're in the trash can.
I
might need to grab a different phone then. Hold on 1 second here. You guys, is it still bad?
No, you sound good now.
I was at a football game one time it was in Atlanta, and Carolina just came in and just stomped a mud hole, and it was a blowout of epic proportions. And and they played toward the end of that game they played that the first clip of that Nickelback song, How the Hell We Wind Up Like This? Why weren't we able to see the signs that we missed or whatever? I thought that was hilarious. But then right after that, they played a little clip of Sad But True.
Nice.
Sorry, when you said Nickelback, I'm like, what?
Well, it was used properly. It was used properly.
Right.
It's like the home stadium was kind of ragging on the home team by playing that line from the song. Then they finished it off by playing a little clip from "Sad but True." I mean,
I've heard them do "For Whom the Bell Tolls" at football games, so they could totally do something from the first 4 albums.
Yeah.
You could do it, Metallica. We're all tired of Enter Sandman. We are all tired of "Sad but True." We are all tired of "Nothing Else Matters" and all this.
You can't play "Nothing Else Matters" at a football game. It's not,
No, but we're tired of all that
Right.
stuff from the Black Album onward. Like, okay, I'm just done with it. Most Metallica fans are over it. We're just like, forget it. Just we want to hear Whiplash and Jump in the Fire.
You're not thinking outside of the box, Chris. You're not thinking outside of the box here. If Metallica, and honestly, to be quite honest with you, out of those three, the one that's most likely to be first would be Metallica. But
that's the thing. Jump in the Fire with a lot of pyro at Super Bowl halftime isn't thinking outside the box. Come on. Okay, I rest my case.
But you got to get one in first. Once one, and Kiss getting in doesn't count because I mean,
no.
Rock. We're talking metal. So
right.
So we get Metallica in the door, and they make everybody happy. They'll probably play like a medley of songs, since all their songs are like 5-10 minutes long and everything. So they'll play a little medley of songs and everything, and then they'll probably play Enter Sandman in its entirety or something like that. I mean that. But then guess what? The door's open. Once
then
Metallica
they can do So What uncensored.
Yep.
I'm going with that. That's my pick right there. So What, uncensored. If you've ever heard that song, it's like one of the, it could never be played on the radio because it would be just a series of beeps with maybe a guitar solo.
Right. Anthrax would be great for, a halftime.
Yeah.
There's so many bands that would be great.
Anthrax,
you know how these players, how hyped up they get when they score and everything, or they make a big play. Can you imagine a halftime show with the Jumbotrons just showing these great plays from the Super Bowl with I Am the Man in the background?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be insane.
Anyway.